The Antarctic wind howled across the frozen wasteland, but 2 miles beneath the ice, Dr. James Miller couldn't hear it. He stood in a hastily constructed research station, staring at radar readings that made no sense. The object they had found was impossible. "Dr. Miller, you need to see this." Tom, one of the younger researchers, burst into the room. His thick winter coat was still covered in ice crystals. The new deep scan results just came in. Miller followed Tom to the main research bay. Dozens of screens displayed different views of what lay beneath them. The massive shape was perfectly geometric, a triangle so large it defied belief. 3 kilometers, Miller whispered, running his hand through his graying hair. 3 kilometers long, and it's been here all this time. The discovery had started 2 weeks ago with a routine ice core sample. The drill had hit something solid where no solid object should be. Initial scans suggested a small anomaly, but as they deployed more sensitive equipment, the true scale of their finding became clear. "The military's here," Lisa, their communications officer, announced from her station. 3 helicopters just landed at the surface base. Miller nodded. He'd expected this. You couldn't find something this big without drawing attention. Within hours of their first detailed scan, the project had gone from a simple scientific expedition to a top-secret military operation. The elevator hummed as it brought the new arrivals down from the surface. Colonel Richard Banks stepped out first, followed by a team of serious-looking men in black winter gear. The colonel's eyes went straight to the main display screen. "So it's true," Banks said, his breath visible in the cold air. "Have you determined what it is?" Miller walked over to a side terminal and pulled up the latest 3D renders. "It's artificial, Colonel. The structure is too perfect to be natural. We're looking at a vessel of some kind, buried under the ice for who knows how long." "A vessel." Banks moved closer to the screen. "You mean?" "Yes," Miller said. "We're standing above what appears to be a spaceship, and based on these energy readings, it might still be operational." The research bay erupted into activity as more military personnel arrived. They'd brought new equipment, better scanners, and teams of specialists. Miller watched as his simple research station transformed into a high-tech facility within hours. By midnight, they had their first clear image of the ship's hull. The metal, if it was metal, was dark gray with strange markings that seemed to shimmer when viewed from different angles. Parts of the hull showed no sign of age or wear, despite being buried for thousands of years. "Look at this," Tom called out, pointing to his screen. "We found similar markings in caves around the world. Australia, Africa, South America. They're all the same symbols." Miller leaned in to study the images. "Our ancestors saw this ship, or others like it. They recorded it in their art." Colonel Banks was on his satellite phone, talking in hushed tones. When he finished, he gathered everyone in the main bay. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "as of now, this is a joint international operation. The UN Security Council has been informed, and they're sending representatives from every major nation. Whatever we found here, it belongs to all of humanity." Miller turned back to the scans, his mind racing with possibilities. If the ship was still operational after all this time, what else could it do? Why was it here? Who left it? As if in answer to his thoughts, one of the monitoring stations began beeping. A new reading appeared on the main screen. A power signature, faint but growing stronger. "Dr. Miller," Tom called out, his voice shaking slightly. I think it's waking up." The massive ship, hidden for millennia beneath the ice, was stirring. Humanity's greatest discovery was about to become something much more. As Miller stared at the growing energy readings, he couldn't help but wonder if they were ready for what would come next. The first chapter in humanity's next great adventure had begun. 3 months had passed since the discovery. The research base had grown into a sprawling underground facility, filled with scientists and military personnel from 20 different nations. Kate Roberts, the lead military engineer, stood before the newly exposed section of the ship's hull, studying the strange patterns that covered its surface. "These aren't just decorations," she said, tracing the glowing lines with her scanner. Her breath made small clouds in the cold air of the excavation chamber. "They're some kind of power conduits." The massive ship now had a proper name. They called it the Sleeper, though Kate wondered how much longer that name would fit. Every day, more systems showed signs of activity, like a giant slowly waking from a deep slumber. "Energy readings are up another 12%, called out Peter, one of the technical specialists. He adjusted his thick glasses as he studied his tablet. "Whatever's happening in there, it's speeding up." Kate walked along the exposed section of hull, her boots echoing on the metal walkway. The ship's surface seemed to ripple under the harsh work lights, as if it was made of living metal. They had tried every known method to cut through it, but the hull remained impenetrable. "Look at this section," she called out, pointing to a series of markings that matched the cave paintings they'd found worldwide. "Our ancestors weren't just recording what they saw. They were trying to tell us something." Dr. Miller joined her on the walkway, his face tired from another long night of study. "The patterns match exactly, down to the smallest detail. This ship wasn't just visited by ancient humans. It was meant to be found by us." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. Kate's scanner began beeping wildly, its readings jumping off the charts. The markings on the hull pulsed with a soft blue light. "Everyone back!" Colonel Banks shouted from the observation platform. "Clear the walkways." But Kate couldn't move. She stood transfixed as the patterns beneath her feet began to shift and change. The surface of the ship seemed to flow like water, and a seam appeared in the previously seamless hull. "It's opening," she whispered. A doorway formed in the hull, the metal simply flowing aside to create an entrance. The air hummed with energy, and Kate felt her hair stand on end. Behind her, she could hear the sound of weapons being drawn and orders being shouted. "Wait," Dr. Miller called out. "Look at the patterns. They're the same as the welcome symbols we found in the cave paintings." A soft light emerged from the doorway, and with it came a voice. Not sound, but words appearing directly in their minds. "Seed children," the voice said, using words that felt ancient and new at the same time. "You have grown enough to wake us." Holographic displays sprang to life around them, filling the chamber with images of stars, planets, and things they couldn't begin to understand. At the center of it all stood a figure made of light, humanoid but clearly artificial. "I am Guardian," the figure announced. "This vessel was left in my care, to be awakened when Earth's children were ready. That time has come." Kate stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Ready for what?" The holographic figure's expression turned grave. "Ready to defend yourselves. The harvesters approach, as they have done countless times before. But this time, you will not face them alone." The chamber filled with more images. Massive ships approaching through space, worlds burning, civilizations falling. But among these images of destruction was one of hope. The very ship they stood upon, defending Earth against the coming threat. Kate looked at Dr. Miller and Colonel Banks, seeing her own mix of fear and excitement reflected in their faces. The ship hadn't just been sleeping. It had been waiting for humanity to grow strong enough to use it. The real question was, would they learn how to use it in time? The underground chamber had become a hub of frantic activity. Technicians rushed between computer stations while military officers from different nations argued in hushed voices. At the center of it all, Guardian's holographic form stood patiently, its light casting blue shadows on the walls. Dr. Miller stepped forward, chosen as humanity's main speaker. "You said you were left here by the builders. Who were they?" Guardian's form shifted, showing images of beings that looked almost human, but not quite. The builders were the first to achieve star travel in this arm of the galaxy. They found Earth when your kind still lived in caves. Why didn't they contact us then? Kate asked from her position near the ship's entrance. "Because you needed to grow on your own," Guardian replied. "The builders learned a hard lesson. Races that receive advanced technology too soon destroy themselves. You needed to develop your own path. Colonel Banks stepped forward. And these harvesters you mentioned. The hologram change, showing massive ships shaped like dark crystals. They are the great devourers. They search for developing civilizations, waiting until they reach a certain level of technology. Then they strike, taking resources, knowledge, and genetic material. They have done this for millions of years. The chamber fell silent. The images showed world after world falling to these cosmic predators. Cities burning, oceans boiling away, entire populations vanishing. But why leave us a weapon? Kate asked, running her hand along the ship's living metal. Why not stay and protect us themselves? Guardian's form solidified again. Because the builders learned another lesson. The best protectors of a world are those who were born to it. This vessel, which you would call a star destroyer, is not just a weapon. It is a gift, meant to be used by those who love Earth enough to die protecting it. Dr. Miller's eyes widened. You mean we can control this ship? With training, yes. The builders designed it to respond to human minds. Your adaptability, your creativity, your ability to think in ways other species cannot. These are your greatest strengths. Screens around the chamber lit up, showing the ship's interior. Vast halls, control rooms, engineering spaces, and weapon systems beyond anything humans had imagined. The ship wasn't just a vessel, it was a city, a fortress, and a library of advanced technology all in one. We don't have much time, Guardian continued. The harvesters have already detected signs of your civilization. They will arrive within months, expecting to find an easy target. Instead, they must find you ready. Colonel Banks turned to the other military officers. We need to choose a crew. The best we have. From all nations. I can begin the integration process immediately, Guardian said. But remember, this ship was built for human minds. Its true potential can only be reached by those who understand what they're fighting for. Kate watched as more sections of the hull began to open, revealing corridors that led deep into the ship. The metal seemed to sing under her feet, responding to the presence of humans nearby. There's something else you should know, Guardian added, its voice growing softer. The builders didn't just leave this ship. They left others, on other worlds, protecting other young races. If Earth falls, those worlds will be next. The weight of this revelation settled over the chamber. They weren't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were fighting for every developing civilization that couldn't yet fight for itself. Dr. Miller looked at the assembled group, his voice firm. Then we better not fail. Guardian nodded, and the ship hummed with power. The training begins now. Welcome aboard, children of Earth. It's time to learn how to save worlds. The first step into humanity's new role as defenders of the galaxy had begun. The only question was, would they learn fast enough to survive their first test? 2 weeks into training, and the ship's main control room buzzed with activity. Holographic displays filled the air, showing hundreds of simulated space battles. Kate sat at one of the neural interface stations, her forehead covered in sweat, as she practiced controlling the ship's weapon systems with her mind. Energy levels rising too fast, Guardian warned. Focus your thoughts. The ship responds to emotion as much as intention. Kate took a deep breath and tried again. In the simulation, massive energy beams lanced out from the ship, more controlled this time. The holographic enemy vessels shattered into pieces. Better, Guardian said. Much better. Dr. Miller watched from his station, where he was learning to interpret the ship's vast database. The harvesters have destroyed over 300 civilizations, he announced, his voice grim. They're thorough. They don't leave survivors. Colonel Banks, now promoted to fleet commander, studied the tactical displays. Show us their typical attack patterns again. The holographic space above them, filled with red dots representing harvester ships. They attack in groups of 30. Guardian explained. 3 main waves. The first wave weakens planetary defenses. The second targets military installations and power sources. The third, The AI paused. The third begins the harvest. Kate shuddered at the clinical way Guardian described it. The ship's database contained recordings of previous harvests. She'd watched one and couldn't sleep for days after. Our advantage is surprise, Banks said, pointing to Earth's defense plans. They don't know about this ship. They're expecting primitive space weapons, not builder technology. New alarms suddenly blared through the control room. Guardian's form flickered with urgency. Long-range sensors detecting multiple fold space events. The harvesters. They're arriving early. How early? Kate asked, her heart racing. They'll reach Earth in 72 hours. The room erupted into action. Banks grabbed his phone, calling Earth's defense commands. Dr. Miller rushed to download as much tactical data as possible from the ship's computers. We're not ready, Kate said, looking at their training scores. We've only mastered basic systems. Guardian's form grew larger, filling the center of the room. You're more ready than you think. The builders chose humanity for a reason. In all their travels, they never found another species that could adapt so quickly, think so creatively, or fight so fiercely for their home. Through the ship's sensors, they could see the harvester fleet approaching. 30 ships, each one bigger than anything humans had built, moving through space with terrible purpose. Look at these readings, Dr. Miller called out. They're ships. They're partly organic. They grow them somehow. Yes, Guardian confirmed. They use genetic material from harvested worlds to improve their vessels. Each fleet is built from the bones of fallen civilizations. Banks turned to the crew. I want everything battle-ready in 48 hours. Kate, get weapons control perfected. Miller, find any weaknesses in their ships. Everyone else, full combat drills until we get it right. Kate returned to her station, feeling the neural interface connect more deeply than before. The ship responded to her thoughts, its ancient weapons charging with power that could tear apart space itself. Guardian, she asked, did any civilization ever survive a harvester attack? The eye was quiet for a moment. No, but no civilization ever had this ship, and none of them were human. Through the view screens, Earth hung beautiful and blue in space, unknowing of the danger approaching. 3 billion years of evolution, 250,000 years of human history, all of humanity's hopes and dreams. Everything would be decided in the next 3 days. Send word to all Earth's defense forces, Banks ordered. Tell them the storm is coming, and we're going to meet it head-on. The time for training was over. Humanity's first real space battle was about to begin. The massive ship rose from Antarctica, ice falling from its hull like a frozen waterfall. After thousands of years buried under the ice, the Star Destroyer finally touched open air. Its dark metal gleamed in the polar sun, stretching 3 kilometers from bow to stern. In the control room, Kate worked with the neural interface while warning sirens blared across every continent. Main systems at 90%, she reported. The ship, she's happy to be flying again. Happy? Banks asked from the command chair. It's the best way to describe it, Kate said. The more we work with her systems, the more alive she feels. Guardian's hologram appeared between them. The builders designed this vessel to form a true bond with its crew. You're not just controlling the ship, you're becoming part of it. Dr. Miller's voice came through the internal comms. All research teams report ready. We've mapped 30% of the ship's capabilities. The rest, we'll have to learn as we go. The Star Destroyer climbed higher, breaking through clouds and descending toward space. Below, Earth's combined military forces mobilized. Every missile, every fighter jet, every satellite weapon stood ready to support the ancient vessel. Harvester fleet approaching Mars orbit, one of the sensor operators announced. 58 hours until they reach Earth. Banks stood at the main viewport, watching their home planet grow smaller. Begin integration with Earth's defense systems. Guardian's form spread throughout the control room, connecting with every station. Starting global defense network interface. Connecting to military satellites. missile defense systems, early warning radar. The ship's holographic displays came alive with data from every military installation on Earth. Green lines connected everything into a single network, all controlled from the Star Destroyer's bridge. This is what the builders intended, Guardian explained. Not just a single ship, but humanity's combined strength, guided by builder technology. Kate felt the neural interface deepen. Through it, she could sense every weapon on Earth, ready to fire at her command. The power was both thrilling and terrifying. All hands, battle stations, Banks ordered. The crew rushed to their positions, each connecting to their own neural interfaces. The ship hummed with power as more systems came online. Dr. Miller's voice crackled through again. We've decoded more of the ship's database. The builders left us more than weapons. There's technology here that could end poverty, heal the environment, cure diseases. First, we have to survive, Banks reminded him. How are the weapon tests coming? In response, Kate activated the main weapons array. A beam of energy shot from the ship's bow, reaching out toward space. When it hit a small asteroid, the rock didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, the space where it had been folding in on itself. Space-folding weapons, Guardian confirmed. They don't destroy targets. They remove them from reality itself. The crew watched in stunned silence. This was power beyond anything humanity had imagined. The responsibility felt overwhelming. Multiple fold space events detected near Jupiter. A sensor operator called out. The Harvester fleet is moving faster than expected. New arrival time, 36 hours. Banks turned to face the crew. This ship chose us. These weapons chose us. Not because we're perfect, but because we understand something the Harvesters never will. What's that? Kate asked, feeling the ship's power flowing through her neural link. That life, all life, deserves a chance to grow, to learn, to become something more. Banks looked at each crew member in turn. The Harvesters think they're coming to end our story. Instead, they're about to become part of it. The Star Destroyer accelerated, heading out to meet humanity's greatest threat. Behind it, Earth prepared for war. Ahead, the Harvester fleet approached, unaware that this harvest would be different. This time, their prey was ready to fight back. The Harvester fleet appeared near the moon, 30 ships emerging from fold space like dark crystals breaking through reality. Each was twice the size of the Star Destroyer, their hulls covered in organic growths that pulsed with sickly green light. They're scanning Earth, Kate reported from her weapons station. No sign they've detected us yet. Banks stood at the command center, his voice steady. Guardian, show us their command ship. The holographic display zoomed in on the largest vessel. Unlike the others, its hull was covered in what looked like eyes, thousands of biological sensors studying Earth. Now, Banks ordered. The Star Destroyer dropped its stealth field. Immediately, every Harvester ship turned toward them, their sensors focusing on the unexpected threat. They're transmitting something, Dr. Miller called out, playing it through speakers. A harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken English. Builder vessel detected. Impossible. All builders dead. All their ships destroyed. Not all of them. Banks responded on an open channel. Earth claims this ship by right of inheritance. Leave now or be destroyed. The Harvester ships began to move, spreading out in an attack formation. Their response came in the same harsh voice. Earth will be harvested. Builder vessel will be added to collection. They're powering weapons, Kate announced. Multiple energy signatures. They're preparing TO. The first Harvester blast lit up space like a new sun. But Kate was faster. Through her neural link, she fired the Star Destroyer's main weapon. Space itself twisted where the beam hit, and 3 Harvester ships simply vanished, leaving nothing behind. The battle erupted in full fury. The Harvesters fired again and again, their weapons designed to strip away planetary defenses. But the Star Destroyer moved with impossible speed, its ancient hull absorbing or deflecting each hit. 8 ships approaching from behind. Guardian warned. Not for long, Kate said. She reached deeper into the neural link, feeling the ship's secondary weapons respond. Beams of light shot out in all directions, each one folding space around the enemy vessels. 5 more harvester ships disappeared. The bridge shook as a direct hit finally broke through their defenses. Warning lights flashed across every station. Hull breach on Deck 12, someone shouted. Auto repair systems engaging. Dr. Miller's voice cut through the chaos. The ship is learning. It's adapting its defenses based on their attacks. He was right. With each hit, the Star Destroyer's hull grew stronger. The living metal shifted and changed, becoming more resistant to the harvester weapons. 16 enemy ships eliminated, Guardian reported. But they're adapting too, changing their attack patterns. The remaining harvester ships moved in closer, their organic hulls pulsing faster. Green energy beams lanced out from all directions, trying to overwhelm the Star Destroyer's defenses. Kate felt the neural interface heat up as she pushed the weapons to their limit. Space rippled and tore around them as both sides unleashed their full power. 3 more harvester ships vanished, but others moved in to take their place. Hull integrity at 60%, Guardian warned. We cannot sustain this level of damage. Banks gripped his command chair. Miller, what about Earth's defenses? Ready on your command. All Earth forces, Banks broadcast. Fire at will. Thousands of missiles launched from Earth, followed by energy beams from orbital platforms. The harvesters, focused on the Star Destroyer, didn't notice the attack until it was too late. The combined firepower of humanity struck their rear flanks, causing chaos in their formation. Now, Banks ordered, main weapon. Kate channeled everything into one massive blast. The Star Destroyer's bow lit up like a newborn star, and a beam of pure white energy cut through space. 5 more harvester ships ceased to exist. But the battle wasn't over. The remaining ships regrouped around their command vessel, preparing for another attack. And this time, they looked angry. Ready for round 2, Banks asked his crew. The Star Destroyer's hull hummed with power, ready to defend its inherited children once again. The remaining 12 harvester ships surrounded their massive command vessel, their organic hulls glowing with gathered energy. The Star Destroyer faced them, its ancient metal scared but unbroken. Hull repairs at 40%, Guardian reported. But I'm detecting something strange from the enemy command ship. Kate felt it through her neural link. A change in the energy patterns. They're combining their power, all ships feeding into one weapon. The command ship's front split open like a blooming flower, revealing a massive cannon grown from the genetic material of 1,000 dead worlds. Green energy flowed from the other ships, feeding into the weapon. If that hits Earth, Dr. Miller's voice trailed off as he read the energy readings. It won't, Banks said firmly. Kate, remember what Guardian said about human creativity. Time to prove it. Kate closed her eyes, diving deeper into the neural interface than ever before. She felt every system, every weapon, every particle of the ancient ship's being. But more than that, she felt its purpose, its deep-coded drive to protect. All Earth forces, Banks broadcast, focus everything on their support ships. We'll handle the command vessel. The harvester weapon continued charging, drawing power from its fleet. But as Earth's combined forces attacked the supporting ships, Kate saw what Banks had noticed. Each hit on the smaller vessels disrupted the energy flow. Their weakness, she whispered. They're too connected. Through her neural link, Kate didn't just fire the weapons. She played them like instruments in a symphony of destruction. Space-folding beams struck with surgical precision, not at the ships themselves, but at the energy streams between them. The harvester's combined weapon faltered. Green energy began to cascade out of control between their linked ships. Their own power is feeding back into their systems, Dr. Miller reported excitedly. The biological components of their ships can't handle it. 3 harvester ships exploded as their organic hulls failed. The others tried to break their energy connection, but it was too late. The command ship's weapon became unstable, its massive cannon twisting in on itself. "Now," Banks ordered, "everything we have." Kate brought all the Star Destroyer's weapons online at once, something the builders had never designed it to do. The ship protested, energy warnings flashing across every screen. But through the neural link, she felt its willingness to risk everything for its adopted children. The Star Destroyer's hull lit up from bow to stern. Space itself seemed to bend as every weapon fired simultaneously. The combined blast hit the Harvester command ship just as its own weapon overloaded. For a moment, space went white. When the light faded, the command ship was gone, along with most of its fleet. Only 3 Harvester ships remained, their organic hulls withered and dying. "They're retreating," Guardian announced as the surviving ships flowed into fold space, "and they're broadcasting a message to their kind." The harsh Harvester voice filled the bridge one last time. "Earth, marked as forbidden, dangerous. Builder children stronger than builders." Cheers erupted across the bridge. On Earth below, celebrations began as news of the victory spread. But Kate felt something else through her neural link. New information flowing from the captured Harvester ship's databases. "There are others," she said, looking at the star maps appearing before her. "More worlds, more young civilizations about to face their first harvest." Banks nodded, understanding. "Guardian, can this ship reach those worlds in time?" "Yes," the AI responded. "And its databanks contain coordinates for other builder ships, sleeping beneath the surfaces of other worlds, waiting for their own children to wake them." The Star Destroyer turned toward Earth. Its mission changed. No longer just a defender of one world, it had become humanity's key to the stars, and their invitation to join the ancient duty of protecting young civilizations. "Well," Banks said, looking at his crew, "should we tell Earth it's time to build a fleet?" The Star Destroyer's hull hummed in response, ready to teach humanity how to become what the builders had seen in them all along, guardians of a billion growing dreams.